Hi, this is Michael Uslan. You're watching Batman on film.
I have given a name to my pain. The Batman.
Always waiting for some Batman to save you.
It's simple. We kill the Bat of Gotham.
You don't really think you'll win, do you? I'm Batman.
Hey now.
Hey now.
Welcome to another edition.
Wasn't expecting you to throw that on my lap, Bill.
Yeah. We had some technical difficulties getting this thing going. We figured it out. So anyway, we're here.
Let's not talk about how the sausage is made.
I'm just, my aggravation level's high. This is episode number 49 of the Batman on Film vlog, and we're going to knock this out quickly here. I am the founder of Batman on Film, Bill, Jett, Ramey, and with me is Rick Shew. Hello, Rick. I heard you were in Key West.
Yeah, that's the rumor.
Yes.
Actually,
I wore a Batman Hawaiian shirt because you were down at the beach, man. Look, you can't see, but I'll bring it up. I even wore. Rick, look at that.
All right, Batman flip-flops.
Batman flip-flops. This is all for you.
I have to be very careful about the flip-flops I wear because I have plantar fasciitis in my right foot. So these are Olakai, and you get them at, I don't know, I have to get them at Nordstrom's where I have to get them because there's a certain arch in them.
I thought it was plantar fasciitis.
Plantar fasciitis, whatever, how it's pronounced. My doctor says, the way my doctor pronounces it, how I pronounce it.
Are you facetious? Is that why?
No, I'm not facetious, although you're quite facetious this morning. But I'm wearing a Star Wars shirt.
Okay, that's good.
Because I'm getting geared up for Episode 9.
Well, look, we represent Star Wars here. Speaking of that, aren't you playing a Star Wars show at some point here?
Yeah, I mean, we did a vlog that we were talking about technical issues. There was a lot on that with Eric Holzman. We should have to take it down.
But you got one coming. What I'm talking about.
Well, there's going to be a lot of a lot of things on the horizon as Episode 9 stuff unfolds.
All right. Okay. Well, I'm looking. I enjoy listening to them as a fan, a general. I would say I'm a general audience fan when it comes to Star Wars, and I enjoy.
Why don't you just say it, Bill? That you were in the audience on the original.
I wasn't going to say it. I wasn't going to say it this time.
Right.
I promise, but I will now. I was in 1977, May of maybe it's been June. It came out in May, so probably in May of 1977.
I've never heard this story before.
I saw the original Star Wars in the theater. Yes, and Elvis was still alive then. Actually.
Elvis is still alive now.
Well, no, he's not. Speaking of that, I ain't going to get off on the Elvis tangent.
Elvis movie is around the corner.
I started watching. Have you ever watched Elvis Presley: The Searcher on HBO? It's a 2-part documentary.
Yes.
It is unbelievably fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Best biography of Elvis, telling his story of any medium, book, anything.
There's one on Sinatra that was running on HBO as well. I think it was a 4-part, if I remember, or a 3-part. It was also damn good as well.
If y'all have not seen that, watch it. Elvis Presley: The Searcher. It's brilliant. All right.
I'm excited for the movie, Bill, because I haven't seen the Elton John film yet. I missed the press screening. I think Brian Chatlin went on that for us. I don't know. Regardless. Anyway, I actually saw Bohemian Rhapsody on the plane home yesterday.
How was it?
It was phenomenal. I can't believe I didn't get around to seeing it. I'm a huge Queen fan.
You were making fun of that at one time, weren't you?
Oh, I mean, I might have been making fun of God knows what at any point given time, trolling someone, but
it's good, right?
It's really good.
Yeah.
And first of all, I'm a huge Freddie Mercury fan to begin with, Queen fan. It's exceptional.
He's top 5 frontmen.
Probably.
Rock and roll?
I mean, it's the thing about him that was so dynamic, and they touch upon this in the film. Is one of the things I really loved about the movie. You take the Doors, for instance. The Doors was a brilliant performance by Val Kilmer,
Yes.
probably overlooked by the Academy.
Yes.
But the movie is nothing but, it's like sitting next to a guy drunk or on drugs for 2 hours watching this film. Oliver Stone didn't tap into what drove the Doors musically, and they have some of the greatest rock songs ever. It's all just about Jim Morrison's debauchery, his drug use, his alcoholism, etc. It's a beatdown of a film to watch. Whereas, obviously, in Bohemian Rhapsody, Freddie Mercury led a very decadent life, so to speak, but it really showcases his, not just his, but the entire band's ability to write songs and how original they were and how they wanted to incorporate all these different genres of music, including opera. There's a great scene about opera in the film and music executives and them in an office. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. And that's the thing I loved about this movie, is that it was also a celebration of their music. And the movie ends with like damn near half their performance they did at Live Aid in '85. Just fantastic stuff. And, you know, the Netflix Motley Crue biopic was also well done for what it was. And I wrote a review about that on Batman on Film. You've got the Elton John film coming around, is out. You've got Elvis coming around the corner. It's a good time for rock biopics, man. You know, and it's
you say
again,
biopic, I say biopic, tomato. And actually, the reason I bring that up because I saw it was a conversation someone. What was it? Was it Morning? I don't know what it was. Talking about is it biopic or is it biopic? So yes, but you're right. I love musical biopics. Coal Miner's Daughter is fantastic.
When they're well done, yeah.
Sweet Dreams is fantastic. About
Joaquin Phoenix is
Walk the
Johnny
Line.
Cash.
Yes. So yeah.
Some good stuff. But man, I tell you, and the actor's name that plays Freddy is Malik. Malik. I don't know.
Rami Malek, I believe.
Is that Malik or Malik? Is it plantar fasciitis?
I think
or
it's Malik. I know it's Rami. Malek.
That dude just transformed himself.
Okay, I was going to ask you this, and then I lost my train of thought. Does he lip sync Queen, or does he do his own? Does he sing?
I can tell you that there's a lot of lip syncing because there's some stuff that's obviously definitely Freddie Mercury. Whether or not he's singing some of it, I don't know. There are moments in the film where the character is standing there, Freddie Mercury, and he demonstrates how he can sing in front of other people. That's how he kind of sells himself to Brian May and other members of the band at the beginning of the film. But I don't know if he's lip syncing.
I like it when they perform on camera.
I do too, but I don't think that's necessarily a barometer for if you should get cast in the part, because you can work around that.
Joaquin Phoenix sang his own songs and Walk the
right,
Line,
and that's ideal. And Val Kilmer sang a lot of his own songs. But obviously in that Motley Crue biopic, Daniel Weber, who plays Vince Neil, was certainly lip syncing. And in some cases, it was not. That was one of the flaws of that film, was the lip syncing was a little off. But that's a hard thing to ask. That's a hot.
Sissy Spacek she did all the singing for Loretta Lynn and Coal Miner's Daughter. Gary Busey did all of Buddy Holly. I mean, they did that in front of camera. I mean, he played guitar. You know, the band played live. I like it when they do that.
Well, I will say this: if I don't want, the singer has to lip sync because the actor's so good and can embody the character, but can't quite sing, but can lip sync. That's perfectly okay. But what I don't want, what is unacceptable, if you have a guitar player, drummer, bass player, whatever, they have to be playing the song. You know what I mean? Because you have to be able to look at them if you know anything about the guitar or bass.
Pull the audio track and
you have to be able to look at that and say they're playing it.
Yeah.
Because that's the same thing that the actor's doing if he's lip syncing properly. He's singing it. It's you know what I'm saying?
I know that for this Elvis movie that it's going to be not lip syncing this time. The previous Elvis movies, biopics, have all been lip syncing. Either his songs or had an imitator doing Elvis's vocals. So I'm looking forward to doing it on camera. All right. We talked enough about biopics or biopics. Tomatoes. All right, let's talk a little bit of Batman. Last time, Rick, in last episode, we recorded his show, right? Recorded his show, and then what? Within an hour?
Yeah, there was speculation about some potential competition for Pattinson that we
Yes.
obviously knew existed, but
Yeah.
it was supposed to be in real time.
Yes.
And we made our predictions that, look, this is the guy. He's going to be Batman. We're almost positive of it. And then before you could even get this damn thing edited and up,
Yes. Yeah.
the news broke and it was official.
Yes. Yeah.
So then you had to. So I texted you, said, "Hey, leave it up. Let's not re-record it. A, I don't have time to do that today. Neither do you. But B, let's leave it up because I think when you juxtapose that vlog with the news that broke while we're probably very literally we're filming it or taping it.
It was within an hour.
It was within an hour. So
Yes.
then you went back and recorded an intro.
Yes.
So a real-time intro saying that it's official. Now we're going to reflect back on this conversation we just had 2 hours ago. But now here we are to talk about it. It is official.
It is official.
It is official.
Robert Pattinson. It will be the next Batman. A little bit about the article I was going to bring up. It was it Deadline who broke that?
Deadline, I know, had the story out yesterday about, but I don't know if they broke. Is it them or Variety?
I think it was Deadline. So, and a little bit of how there was a story of how he got the role. Also, that might have been Hollywood Reporter. But anyway, I think Deadline broke the story. But the article I wanted to bring up about how he got the role was, and we said on that last vlog, Rick, that this might have happened previously, and we just now heard about Nicholas Hoult being, both those actors being the final two and doing the screen test in a bat suit. So, but when we were talking about it, Robert Pattinson had been cast, so that was probably the case. And I will say, and it was interesting that Reeves thought about him while he was writing the script and hadn't even met with him. Was one of the things that came out of that story, and that he had been the front runner, but they liked Holt and they screen tested him, and Pattinson got it. And one of the interesting quotes was they wanted to, and you'll like this, Rick, because me and you are both on the same page on this. They wanted to see how they acted with their eyes in the suit,
right?
Which tells me I hope we're not going to get to the lenses thing. That is such an important tool for an actor, especially in that cowl, to be able to emote emotion through with his eyes.
Right.
And I don't want that taken away from him.
No, I don't either. Now listen, if they incorporate it a little bit like that, what transpired in The Dark Knight, or maybe even a little bit of B versus S, that's fine. It's just not. It's, to me, it's
if it drops down whenever
there's a certain scene or whatever, just to kind of throw a bone to the fans that want that. But that's not, again, we talk about this, I say this a million times, not everything that's on the comic book page will or needs to transfer to live action. And I think what sells Batman, because the actor is Bruce Wayne and oftentimes the stuntman is really Batman. So what sells that particular actor as Batman is the eyes. And you go to the original film, meaning the original Warner Brothers live action film with Jack Nicholson and Michael Keaton, and the scene where Batman has Vicky Vale in the Batcave.
I was bring it up. That's what I bring up every time. Can you imagine that scene?
And he's talking to her about how he figured out the Joker's plot, and it's here's where you're going to find the how you're going to be able to trace these chemicals through these products, etc. But just watch that scene, and it's all in the eyes.
Yes.
And I couldn't imagine. I think you tweeted this. I couldn't imagine that scene.
Yes.
Without those eyes.
Without those eyes, and someone I wrote on the Facebook fan page. Well, I want to see that silhouette, the black silhouette with the eyes. I said, you know what? You light that thing properly, and you can get that effect without the lenses. You
absolutely can. I'm gonna say one more. There's a dozen or plus, but think about the interrogation scene in The Dark Knight when Batman's sitting across from the Joker, and everything in Bell's eyes is conveying how he feels because the cowl's not moving.
Yeah.
In the eye, right?
Yes.
And it's a necessary tool for, especially when you have limitations. It's in a lot of ways like Bane in The Dark Knight Rises. The Tom Hardy did everything with his eyes.
That interrogation scene, you can see Batman, Christian Bale, questioning himself.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a part where I think it's the great dynamic between those two characters too, where I think sometimes he even starts to make a little sense to him, and he knows that he's crazy, that he can't accept that.
Yeah.
And you see that when he's talking to him and says, you and I are, you're an outcast, and they're gonna throw you out, and et cetera. And you can see it in his eyes where the wheels are turning a little bit. Yes. And it's there.
Yes.
And that's what makes that scene so great. That's what makes that character so great on live action film. And that's the biggest tool, not as Bruce Wayne, but as Batman, that the actor has, is his eyes. Because again, a lot of this stuff, people talk about the warehouse scene in Batman versus Superman. That's fine, but that's a stuntman. That's not Ben Affleck.
It is.
Okay. And I'm not picking on that scene. It's just a popular fight scene. And most of the fight scenes, it's not the actor playing him. So what do they have? The eyes. So yes. So go ahead. We went off on that, but I agree with you 100%.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think 99% of the time, maybe 95%, it's the eyes. And then there's a scene where, like in The Dark Knight, where it drops down for night vision or whatever, then that's cool. But the thing is, Rick, Batman having lenses in the cowl, that's a relatively new thing in terms of Batman history. Why did he had white slits for eyes? Because why? They didn't draw that much detail.
They didn't draw the detail, but right.
I mean, that's
right.
So it's not like this is some iconic. It's not like having Batman without his cape. Okay.
Right.
Something like that. So.
Right.
Anyway, one other thing about that article they mentioned is that he is not a rookie. And we've heard this. I think we've heard this for a little bit. There's been scuttlebutt of this. He's not a rookie, but he's not the fully formed Batman yet. So he was written as 30-ish. He's about 28 to 31, somewhere in that range. So good age for. And of course, Batman in Batman Begins. Remember, he turned 30 during that film. So is that a good age for a not wet behind the ears, but not full-fledged Batman?
Yeah, I think that we, timeline-wise, it could be akin to, or is it akin? So we're doing this a lot today. Anyway, is it akin to perhaps even Batman '89, where it's an established Batman, but it's not an origin story per se, and he's established, he's there, but Gordon doesn't trust him quite yet. The public doesn't quite know what he's up to just yet. But he's been out for, I don't know, Bill, 6 months, a year, in '89.
In '89, yeah,
a few months probably.
Yeah,
he's been out enough to have a reputation.
Yes, yeah,
and criminals are fearing him.
Yeah.
So it could be something like that, but maybe a little bit more of a timeline where. Maybe his relationship with Gordon is already at least somewhat established.
Yeah, I don't think it's anything year one. It's not, I'm not referring to year one as the comic, but I mean the first year of Batman. I think he's maybe in his second or third year of being Batman. Somewhere,
Sure.
Still he's not going to be fully formed, and that's fine. Which look, if we're going to get a trilogy out of that, and that's another thing it's apparently planned in. Matt Reeves envisions a trilogy. We'll have Pattinson over the course of the next decade as Batman. Can you believe that, Rick?
You think about it, it's true.
I mean, really.
You go from 2003, 2004 to 2012.
I mean, we're 2 years out from the film,
Yeah.
And by the time the third movie rolls around, it's going to be about 10 years from now.
I seriously doubt that as much time will go by between the films. Call that a hunch? Maybe.
Like narrative-wise?
No, just as Nolan was really able to do what he wanted to do. I'm gonna make a film or two between these movies. 2008 to 2012.
I think 3 years is enough. That's a good distance. It's not too soon. It's not too late.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see if. Anyway, that's a separate conversation for another day.
The last time we went 2 years, and it was between Forever and Batman and Robin, so I don't like the precedent. So anyway, so we're going to have this youngish Batman, and like I said, over the next decade, and we're looking at Batman on Film, this website, celebrating its 30th anniversary when that third Reeves film comes out, or close to it. That's
right.
Mind-boggling. So Robert Pattinson's our Batman for this next foreseeable future. I'm extremely happy about it. And I have heard that the other casting will be announced. They're in the process, and we'll be starting to hear some stuff extremely soon, imminent, was what I was told. So that's going to be exciting to see who is playing Gordon and Alfred and all these, whoever the villains are in the film. Which brings me up to this. This is clearly, Rick, this is a reboot. This is not a prequel to BVS. Robert Pattinson's Batman is not the same Batman that Ben Affleck played.
No.
I mean,
no,
absolutely.
No, yeah, and that's a good thing. We've said
It
that.
is a good thing. Yeah.
So, yeah, the casting stuff should be coming out soon, and yeah, we've said this before too. But that's just so much part of the fun of all this is that ride. Who's playing who? How are they going to look? Where the inspirations are going to come from for those particular interpretations? I just don't want any handcuffs on Matt Reeves, which is what I've always said. I don't want it to be a prequel or anything else. I don't want any handcuffs on this guy. Let him do his thing. And Reeves we trust until he gives us a reason not to.
And it appears that's been the case. He cast Pattinson.
Yes.
That was him. Okay. So I wrote this the other day, Rick, and it leads into this, with Batman, the age of this Batman, and so forth. And you wrote something about this a year ago or so.
I was actually going to bring this up. This is funny. Yeah, we did not plan this.
So no,
I didn't know you were going to bring it
good.
up because I was going to bring it up.
All right, good. We're on the same wavelength today. Should Robin be in the Batman?
No.
I'm with you. Okay.
No.
Why? I've said why. In my op-ed, so read it on Batman on Film.
So first of all,
why?
What's the name of your most recent op-ed?
Should the Batman introduce Robin?
Right, and then I had an op-ed I wrote a year or so ago, which was how to make Robin work in a live-action film, which was just my opinion. It was a fun. I had fun writing it. I hope you have fun reading it. I would like to say it was.
I linked to it in my article. So,
I noticed that. I appreciate that. But it was before Titans, which is kind of interesting to read, and then to see some of the stuff they did with him in Titans. Anyway, so should he be in the Batman, meaning this next movie?
Yeah.
No. Should he be in the trilogy? Yes. Okay, I would like to see him in this trilogy, and I'm going to assume that Matt Reeves has a 3-part story to tell. And very much like Nolan, it's in a vacuum, and that's where it exists. And there's a definitive beginning, middle, and perhaps even an end. And we'll see how many feathers that ruffles online when we get to that in 10 years, 8, 9 years. But I would like to see him. It's tricky to do him properly. That's a given. You touch upon that in your article. I have some suggestions on how I think it could work, just personally, in my op-ed. But I think you and I both said this, that in order to have a definitive story, he is such an important part of the mythology of the history.
Absolutely.
And even Nolan, who really wanted his films to be as grounded and realistic as possible, still found a way to incorporate his own Robin. Now, whatever your opinions are on John Blake, I love what he did with that. But regardless of your opinion, Robin does still actually exist in that universe. It's just Nolan's version of it. So even Nolan knew that, and I don't think Matt Reeves is probably going for as grounded of a reality as Nolan, only because, and this is again just my assumption, is because Nolan did that already and did it so well. I'm sure Matt Reeves is like, look, I'm going to play with this a little more in a fantastical sense probably, because I can't outdo what Nolan did. So I've got to do my own thing. So my guess is there's probably going to be elements of this trilogy that are going to be a little bit more heightened than Nolan's, and that's great. That's fine. I think that's a good thing. Yeah. I just want him to do whatever he wants to do, so he could probably make an actual more traditional Robin work if he does it right. But introducing him in the first film, I think that would be a mistake. Let's focus on this Batman. Let's get to know him, what drives him, who he is, everything about him, and then we could introduce Robin. It wouldn't even hurt my feelings if we didn't actually see Robin in full costume until the third film.
I don't even want to see Dick Grayson in this film. I think it should just be about Batman. I mean, you're establishing a new Batman in this world. You don't really. I mean, you don't let it be about Batman, and that's what I wrote. That was my last sentence. Is the Batman needs to be about the Batman.
Let it be about the Batman.
And look, Robin is tricky. Robin is tricky. You can't have a 12, 13-year-old running around fighting crime. It just can't. It comes off. I'm sorry. It will come off silly.
It will.
In a movie that's trying to be serious, and I know people go, well, what about Kick-Ass? The movie Kick-Ass, and you had that little hit girl. from that film. And
But that's different. That's a different
completely
reality.
different,
That's
yeah.
a different reality. That's
Yeah.
that's geared for kids, and it's fun, and that's
no,
great.
Kick-Ass was not geared toward kids, sir. It was R-rated and violent as hell. But
Oh, that's right. Is that the one that Jim Carrey didn't do the
he did the
press
sequel. Yeah,
but he didn't do the
sequel.
press for it, did he?
Yeah, yeah.
That's right. Okay, fair enough. So, what's the tone of Kick-Ass? I'm getting this confused with something else. Then that's the one it's just you said it's rated R. Is it real violent?
Yes.
And it has a character in it that's what, like she's 13 or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then what's your rebuttal to that? Because mine's shot.
If when those
Well,
who
'cause
say,
I-
what about Hit Girl? And
I'm thinking more something along the lines like a Spy Kids thing. I don't know what film I'm thinking of, so I'm not.
you're probably
correct.
yeah. I got you. What? I got what you're thinking.
I know what I'm thinking. I can't remember the name of it. No, it's not Kick-Ass, obviously. And now that I say it out loud, there wouldn't be a film called Kick-Ass geared towards kids anyway. So egg on my face.
No. It's just that's what's brought up. I see Hit Girl and Kick-Ass, and that's how you can do Robin. No, you really can't, because that's also very much, it's not a satire and kind of, a wink to the audience. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not making fun of comic book movies. It's not making fun of superheroes, but it's also, the premise is, it's like superheroes in real life, but it's also completely outrageous, would never happen. You know what I mean? At the same time, it's supposed to be both things.
Okay.
So.
And Jim Carrey didn't do the press on the second one because it was too violent, right?
I don't remember why he.
I think it was after a shooting, perhaps.
I
don't know.
Sure.
I don't know. Anyway, that's another conversation.
Yeah,
but regardless, okay, we got way off track on this. So going back to Kick-Ass that I obviously don't know anything about. But in order to make Robin work in this film, it's going to be tricky. Take your time with it. Introduce Richard, Dick, whatever you want to call him. If they even use, who knows? Maybe Matt Reeves doesn't even use Dick Grayson. Who knows?
I mean, you got Tim Drake, you've got Damien, and
he won't use Damien.
You've got,
and I doubt he uses Jason Todd just
Carrie
because
Kelly, Jason Todd. I mean,
where that goes.
Yeah.
It could be a Tim Drake. Who knows? It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Bottom line is this: just whatever he thinks that he can do to make it work, that's great. But I just don't want him in the first film.
He's got to be 17, 18. And I get what they did. That's what he was supposed to be in Batman Forever. And actually, the origin scene is, people who want comic book accurate, yeah, it's kind of comic book accurate, with the flying Graysons and all that stuff. But Chris O'Donnell was 24 years old when he made that film. He was more Nightwing already. There was even a line. There's a line in Batman Forever.
Sure.
What's my name? Nightwing, Batboy. Whatever.
Right.
So.
And they even made his costume in Batman and Robin look more like
Nightwing costume.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So
I talk about this a lot too. I don't like Batman Forever. There's a few good scenes. I like the scene where Dick shows up at Wayne Manor after his parents died. The conversation that he and Bruce have, and about the cars and all that. It's well done. But even in that scene, I'm like, but dude, he's like freaking, at the very bare minimum, he's 18, 19 years old. That's just how he looks. Like, go get a job.
Yeah. That's the difference.
Get an apartment. Bruce, you don't need to live with Bruce Wayne.
He's supposed to be 17, 18.
Right.
But the actor's 24. So what I'm saying is, if you're going to have Robin be 17-ish, then get a 17-year-olds. You can have some kick-ass, no pun intended, from what we were talking about earlier. You can have some kick-ass 17-year-olds,
Yeah.
That can physically handle themselves. In that type of situation, where it's somewhat believable, as opposed to a 12 or 13-year-old, running around in a tunic and pixie boots and all that. So,
and I talk about this in my op-ed, is that you could have Robin where he's a teenager, 16, whatever, and he's in costume, but he's not actually fighting alongside Bruce at all. And he's out being a rebellious teenager, and you could really tap into that. And anybody that's ever had a reckless teenager is there could be a lot of emotional beats to that could work and be poignant. But at the end of the day, man, it's going to be tricky. Just don't bring him in the first film, and then however he decides to pull it off. Sometimes when I talk about it out loud, Bill, I'm like, man, does Robin even need to be in it? But again, it goes back to what we said at the beginning. He is such a part of it. If you're going to have a definitive story, you got to have him, and he's not going to do another John Blake.
And I've said it several times. I mean, Nolan realized you had to have what embodies Robin in his trilogy for it to be considered a definitive, and he put it in there, and I thought it fit that universe, and I loved. Look, the John Blake version of Robin is just as a legitimate version of Robin as Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, all the other ones, Carrie Kelly, you can name. So, for this, Robin in name only nonsense, stop. So, we both say, Robin should be introduced at some point because of the importance of the character in Batman history. Yes. And it should be done, and we'll let Matt Reeves figure it out, but I say he needs to be 17-ish, if not 18. He doesn't have to be a child, and maybe he's introduced to Bruce Wayne before he actually even becomes Robin a few years later. Anyway, so we're not saying no Robin. So just don't come on now. Don't. I'm not saying no Robin. Just and then once we see the first film and the tone of it, we can also say, okay, cool. So what could work for Robin in this universe would be X, Y, and Z. So that would be kind of fun to speculate as well. Yeah. All right, one thing I wanted to ask you, we kind of talked about it briefly on the phone, and we talked about it before, and then we're going to get the heck out of here. Superman. What? Here we are getting another version of Batman, and I get it. Batman is arguably the most popular comic book superhero among the mainstream audience. His movies do well for Warner Brothers. He's the top dog. He is. Okay. What's the deal with Superman?
I don't know.
We got Batman being rebooted. You would think that you would think that it just seems they have no interest in doing another Superman film right now.
I don't know. I can say that if you look at the history of Superman in cinema, it's rocky. It's very rocky. You had the first two, the Richard Donner films, where Richard Donner / Richard Lester films, and then you had Superman 3 and 4. I will, to the day I die, make excuses and apologize for Superman 3, and I love it, but I also know that it's garbage, but I still love it. It's too nostalgic. You got Richard Pryor in it. I saw it in the theater, double feature, Return of the Jedi with my sister. I will always love that movie, but it's garbage. And so you have Superman 3 and 4 that are not good. You have Superman Returns that did not do well. You have Man of Steel that was divisive, that led to B versus S, and the rest is history. So the bottom line is this.
Well, real quick on Superman Returns. It made, I think, a little less domestically than Batman Begins. Not a huge gap, as far as domestic box office.
But it didn't have the goodwill in the reviews.
No, it did not, and it did not get bad reviews. If you go back and look, it didn't get horrible reviews.
It's not horrible reviews, but not anything great either.
But I'm with you. I mean, I don't hate it. I like it. I don't.
It's fine. It's just
not in my rotation.
It's a boring film, and everything with the kid, and where the hell do you go with that? Some weird choices were made, and the original sin of that film was having Superman that was pre-existing, that was gone for 5 years, and then comes back, and everybody everybody looks like they're 21 years old.
It's the Christopher Reeve Superman too,
and obviously, and apparently Jimmy Olsen doesn't age because he's going to be 20 for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
At least he wasn't assassinated. Oh, anybody? Kidding. I kid Beavis is this. Yeah. So I don't know, Bill. Look, man, the Man of Steel I like a lot too. It just didn't quite work.
And you have
the way it needed to work. So
and you did two different things there. I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, there was not enough action in Superman Returns, and then you have
catastrophic,
no pun intended, a super amount of action and
disaster porn.
Yes.
Right. So what do you do? Look, he's a great character. I love Superman. I want to see him work on film, but I think they know they have to get it right this next time. So who knows when we'll see another one? I don't know.
It wouldn't shock me if they say we're going to ice this down for for a good while and do something with TV. I mean, they have no qualms about putting him. He's in the Arrowverse. He's been on Supergirl on TV, in live action, and there's no way in hell they'll put Batman in live action. Not as a character. I mean, you had Gotham, and that was just one scene. But there's not gonna. They wouldn't look. They would do a Superman TV show. They'll have Superman cameo and Arrow and the whole the Supergirl and whatever. And more than cameo, he's been a character in several episodes. There would no way they'd do that with Batman.
Probably not. And Superman also has a history of that. I mean, obviously Batman has a history of television as well, but not since the 1960s. You had Lois and Clark in the 90s. You had Smallville, which obviously wasn't quite Superman, but still, he works. Those were both very successful shows in their own right. So
I mean, you're gonna get an older Bruce Wayne in Titans, but it's not Batman. They reserve that for the big screen, and it kind of speaks to what they think of Superman compared to Batman. And I hate to say this, Rick, and I'll ask you, is he that hard of a character to make interesting to an audience?
No, I don't think he is. I just think it has to be done right. I think Man of Steel, I love it, but I also look at it and I understand why it had the problems it had with audiences. How about just a nice balance of the uplifting, inspirational Superman that Bryan Singer did try to touch upon in Superman Returns and got it a little bit, but like the old school Christopher Reeve films, particularly the first two, and then a more modern take on him, because he can be. We don't have to have Christopher Reeve Superman. That wouldn't work today anyway. It wouldn't translate well. I think it's one of the problems with Superman Returns. And that's 2005, 2006, and the world's even changed since then. But he still has to be. I had a friend that my buddy Mike loves Shazam far more than I like the film, but he loves it. And I said, what do you love about it so much? He said, I felt like he was more Superman than anything Snyder did with Superman. And he's a big Superman fan. I thought that's kind of an interesting take. And he talks about giving the doll to the little girl or whatever. So I don't know, Bill. I just think you have to find that balancing act of he's got to be the Boy Scout, but he can be interesting. And Snyder did some interesting things with him. He even did some interesting things with him in Batman versus Superman. It's like you said earlier, Superman Returns went too far right. This is not a political thing. I'm just trying to paint a picture here. Yeah. Too far right, and then Man of Steel went too far left, and then now we're reduced to headless cameos in Shazam movies.
I just look, for the record, I hope within the next 5 years. I know that seems like an eternity, but that they find a Matt Reeves for Superman and do a great Superman trilogy. That would be my hope. So, okay, I did put out a call for questions. We only had one, so Rick, we're going to answer this question. This is for Matthew on the Batman on Film Facebook fan page or fan group. Thoughts on the new direction for DC films? Continue to use Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Shazam, and Margot Robbie's Harley, but reboot other characters that didn't resonate. Rick?
I appreciate the question. We've talked about this. We are addressed it here. Keep what worked and don't double down on what didn't, and move on. That's what they're doing anyway.
Yes, exactly what they're doing. And I wrote in that article, one of the articles I wrote here recently. This will for fans who are trying to figure all this out. This will make it a lot easier for you. Number one, Rick. Stop trying to think and figure out how it all connects. Okay? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about, well, there was Ben Affleck's Batman was in Justice League, and then they're going to have Wonder Woman 84, but now you have this other Batman. So just take it one movie at a time. It's individual movies. Go for the individual movie. Don't worry about how it connects to anything else. Also, and it goes with it, don't worry about the continuity and all this, because they're not trying to connect. They're not trying to build up to some big team-up film. If If you just stop worrying about that, folks, I'm telling you, you'll enjoy these movies. You don't worry about. Go see Birds of Prey, Rick, and don't worry about where Ben Affleck's Batman is. And
When these
yeah.
when these movies come out, they'll speak for themselves.
Yes,
and
exactly.
then we won't have to have these conversations anymore.
Exactly. All right. So, anything to plug?
Shewrick, Twitter, SHEWRICK.
Okay. Follow me at Batman on Film. Here's a question we'll think about. Maybe this will be a topic for the next vlog, and maybe people want to talk about it in the comments or over on our fan group discussion page on Facebook. Shazam was not a huge hit, correct?
No, it wasn't a huge hit. No.
Okay. Could it with the reviews that it got, which were good, could it made it a little bit more money than it did?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, of course.
All right. And we're not going to answer this. I'm just going to. And there was a lot of they kind of beat you over the head with the Batman and Superman from BVS and Justice League, right?
I don't think you were beat over the head with it until the cameo. Personally, I think it was ambiguous enough through the film that it didn't.
But it was in there, right?
Yeah, it was in there.
Okay.
Yeah, of course it was.
Which two characters from Justice League, significant characters, are we never going to see those versions of the characters again on film?
Well, it was obviously Batman and Superman.
Okay. Could that have affected Shazam? Don't answer. We'll talk about it later.
Okay.
I want you to ponder that. All right.
All right.
All right, guys. Batman on Film, Authoritative, Definitive, Rick.
And the Dadgum original.
All right. We will catch you next time.
All right.